Good morning everybody, and welcome back to another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to go over any news related to the old school RuneScape community this week. Now this week we did get a content update, and that is a new rework for the costume room. Something a lot of people have been looking forward to for a long time. Now on top of that, we also got some more information on Leagues 2, specifically to do with the new rewards. Now today they also released a Gilenor Gazette, where they talk again about partnerships, so I would stick around to the end because there's a lot I want to discuss, and we're going to be pulling some of their answers from the Q&A live stream regarding partnerships and the future of the game, so I do really think it's important that a lot of people are made aware of this. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoy. If you do, I always appreciate it if you leave the video a like, always helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Now to begin here, let's start off with yesterday's game update, which was primarily a rework to the costume room. Now both the costume room and the magic wardrobe have received a pretty substantial upgrade as far as usability and quality of life. Now there are going to be separate changes for Ultimate Ironman players, as storage for Ultimate Ironman is particularly important and really relevant to the game mode. So from now on, for non-Ultimate Ironman players, you can store as many sets in the costume room as you want. You're also able to store incomplete sets as well, which is something you previously couldn't do. On top of that, you can now store spare pieces, and just in general, you're able to chuck a lot more stuff in there and access the items a lot more fluidly. There are also helpful buttons like a deposit all button that lets you dump everything in your inventory into the storage at once. Overall, this will clear up a ton of bank space, and using the costume room is going to be a lot easier. Now there are slightly different rules for Ultimate Ironman. Ultimate Ironman may not withdraw an incomplete set from the costume room, however they are able to store incomplete sets. The one caveat though is that you will not be able to withdraw the item until you have a completed set, which means it'll be stuck there. There will be a warning for that, but you will technically lose that item for a temporary amount of time until you have the completed set. And finally here, UIMs will not be able to store duplicate items as well, so you can only have one of each set. Now they've also changed the magic wardrobe as well as the armor case. The magic wardrobe has had its storage increased from a minimum of 7 sets at the lowest level, all the way up to an infinite amount of sets at the marble level. Same thing for the armor case as well. For the oak tier, you can store 25 armor sets. For teak, you can store 50 armor sets. And for mahogany, you can infinitely store as many armor sets as you can find. A really awesome update. It's going to be helpful for a lot of people. Not flashy, but something that needed to be done. Now because the update was so complicated, they have backed up everyone's data going into it. So if you do notice that you have lost an item when you're storing or withdrawing from the costume room, magic wardrobe, or the armor case, you can open up a bug report and they will look into it for you. So that was the major change, but there's also a couple other really important ones that are also coming from poll number 72. Quite notably, the Blood Fury amulet has received a buff. The Blood Fury now has a 20% chance of healing 30% of the melee damage done, which is a significant upgrade to where it was previously. I'm really curious to see how viable the Blood Fury amulet is going to be. Because the Blood Shard will eventually be lost after 10,000 hits, I'm assuming the price will eventually fall down to something that is reasonably viable somewhere. But I think for stuff like the Nightmare, God Wars, potentially some other niche training methods, I think it might have a use, and I'm really excited to go test it out. Another big change is actually to the Blisterwood tree's experience rate. Now the Blisterwood experience rate on release was 76 XP per log, but they very quickly nerfed that. However, a lot of people enjoyed the training method, so they ended up bumping it back up to the previous rate. Now Blisterwood trees are not really competitive with teaks or any of the other higher level woodcutting methods, but it's unique in the way that the Blisterwood tree will never disappear, which means you are able to AFK here pretty hard. One other pretty notable update is actually to mahogany homes. The amount of carpenter points has actually been increased per job that you complete. Now for every tier of mahogany homes, it's now been increased by 1, which means if you're doing the mahogany version, you're now going to get 5 points, and if you're doing the lowest level tier, you're going to be getting 2 points. And if players have completed contracts prior to this update, you are going to be given the extra points back as soon as you log in. And that's pretty much it for the game update this week. Now on top of the content update yesterday, we also got some more information on the new Leagues 2 rewards. And something kind of unique to this week is we actually had 2 live streams. I'm not really going to be going over the first one because it is pretty much centered around the rewards, and it's not really a Q&A, they're just kind of talking about it. But still, I'm really excited to have a look at what the new rewards are going to be. Now, just like the first league, all of the items are going to be purely cosmetic. However, they are going to be tradable, unless otherwise stated. The point values listed below are calculated under the assumption that all the rewards pass the poll. Should any fail, we may have to readjust the point cost. I do quite enjoy the fact that these items are tradable, which means you will be able to sell them at the end of the league. Not really sure how valuable they're going to be, but the rewards from the last league went somewhere up to around 15 or 20 mil, so you will get a bit of money back for your time investment. Now first up here we have the Trailblazer themed banner. It'll occupy your main hand slot as a weapon. This is going to cost a low amount of points, although they haven't revealed exactly how much yet. Pretty cool, although one minor critique that a lot of people have is the fact that it says RuneScape on it. I think putting the logo on the rewards is a bit much. Next up here we have the Trailblazer home teleport animation. The animation in my opinion looks very cool. I do really like how you jump away. Again, this reward will cost a relatively low amount of points. Now next up here we have ornament kits for dragon items. Now essentially there'd be an ornament kit for the dragon harpoon, the dragon pickaxe, and the dragon axe. Now if at any point you decided you didn't want these, you can revert it instantly and you would receive the kit back. Next up here we have the Trailblazer graceful set recolor, which is a brown and blue set recolor. I'm personally not a big fan of the coloring, but I do like the idea of a graceful recolor for leagues. Now the reward will cost a relatively high amount of points, but you will get a pack of 6 kits, which means you don't even have to recolor the entire graceful set this color. Again, if you decide you want to go back to the basic color, you can revert it and you'll get the kit back. Okay, this time they are pitching a player-owned house league room, which would be a separate room where you'd be able to proudly display your league rewards. The room would require 27 construction to build and would cost around 15,000 GP. And it would include a few different spots to include your achievements. Next up here we have the Trailblazer player-owned house globe statue. Now this would go in your league trophy room and it would cost a medium amount of league points. It looks pretty cool in my opinion, although again, the RS logo I think could just be taken out. Next up here we have the Trailblazer rug, which again would go in your league trophy room. Now one interesting part of this rug is some people deduce that this is actually showing what the areas are going to be in the league, and I'm pretty sure someone overlaid it over the regular map. I thought it was just kind of interesting, maybe a very minor spoiler potentially on the rug. Now this would cost a relatively high amount of league points. Kind of interesting the rug costs so much. And finally, once again, there would be the league trophies. Now unlike all of the other league items, the trophies are not going to be tradable as the purpose is to show off your skill and dedication. Now to earn the trophies, you need to get into the relative tier. So to get into dragon tier, you need to be in the top 1%. And to get into bronze tier, there's going to be a minimum point threshold. So that's going to be it for the league rewards. Kind of similar to last year, mostly cosmetic, recolors. So I'm really excited to play it and try to earn some of these rewards. Now just a few minutes ago, they released the Gilenor Gazette, and there's a lot of really interesting information in it, and a lot of interesting discussion points. Now I really wanted to highlight a few major things, mainly the 2021 roadmap for updates, which they've released a rough update schedule for the first half of 2021, as well as I wanted to talk about partnerships and Jagex's stance going forward. I'll also be pulling a few things from the Q&A, because that's mainly what they were talking about. Now first up, let's start with the roadmap. So there's a few things on here so far. Mahogany Homes, which just came out. The next update, which is going to be sometime between September and October, is going to be the Fishing Skill Boss. So assuming that passes, that will come up pretty soon. From November to December, there is going to be the Combat Achievements. On top of that, we're obviously going to get the regular weekly updates. Now going on to the first half of 2021, we have Soul Wars, which will be one of the first updates. Clans and Group Ironman is shooting to be out sometime in the first half of 2021. As well as the Great Korend overhaul. Now this is definitely subject to change, but that is their rough roadmap. Now throughout this year and next year, they are hiring a ton of new devs. So they're looking to up their production schedule, which is exciting. I mean, we'll get more content updates. So now there's a really important message from Mod Mike D, which is the product manager for Old School RuneScape. One exciting proposition is expanding the reach of Old School RuneScape. He'd like it to be available on other platforms and consoles, as well as being translated into a bunch of different languages. Imagine playing Old School RuneScape on the Nintendo Switch, for example. Essentially just getting RuneScape placed into more conventional spaces like, for example, Steam, gaming console libraries, and again getting RuneScape available in other languages. Now below here they talk about partnerships again. Now last year there was a poll on partnerships for adding in some new content. That failed pretty spectacularly, so badly they pulled it. So essentially there is another pitch for partnerships. Technically there is a partnership in Old School RuneScape currently, and currently that is the Twitch Prime promotion. It looks like again they are trying to expand what they can offer as a partnership, and as far as I'm aware this is not being pulled. And now I'm trying to keep an open mind about this because expanding the player base, that's going to be beneficial for everybody. And I don't know if there's an inherent issue with partnerships themselves if they're done right, more so just the fact that that's just setting a precedent, slowly slipping towards what could be microtransactions or more nefarious additions. But anyway, putting that aside for now, here's what they're offering. September 15th to October 13th, just straight up free membership again. We already have that. The only difference is it would be with Prime Gaming. I'm not really sure how that differs from Twitch Prime, but essentially the company they're looking to work with is Amazon Prime Gaming. Now from October 13th to November 10th, they're looking to add in a Prime Plays Last Man Standing tournament. Now essentially it would be a Last Man Standing tournament only available to Prime members. It would just be a general tournament with a cash prize. Now, regardless of how you feel about this, how successful is this going to be in bringing in new players? Last Man Standing is a very advanced PvP minigame. Like, who is going to be able to play that? The learning curve is extreme and very steep. I don't think any players are going to start old school based on that experience. Maybe they have a different idea for it, but I'm not really sure how Last Man Standing tournament is going to convert new players. From November 10th to December 15th, they have again 7 days of membership. And from December 15th to January 5th, they have a to be announced section. So based on stuff I pulled from the live stream, I will go over that a bit in a minute. They're trying to add in capabilities for partnerships without adding really anything to the main game, which is really the only thing I think the community would tolerate. But it's kind of a paradox because what do you offer then? The Last Man Standing tournament? I don't know, that's not really much. Now to add to this, there was a Q&A live stream with just the leadership team. They stated that partnerships is a way for us to get new players. They don't want MTX, but we do want to be able to reach a wider audience. Prime Gaming is a great way to do this. The stuff we learned from last year is that we can't put anything into the game. Offering subscriptions and things that sit outside of the game is something they might be able to do. I'm going to be honest, the whole Q&A live stream regarding this was exceedingly confusing. I'm really doing my best to try to translate what they were saying. So what's currently on the table and being proposed is free membership. That's something we've already had. A Prime-only LMS tournament, which is something that they're considering going forward with. And they also mentioned in the live stream partnering up with other companies outside of the game and offering discounts for RuneScape players only. I'm still not really sure what the other company would get out of this or how that would even be implemented. I would highly recommend going ahead and reading the Gilenor Gazette as well as watching this week's live stream. Judge it for yourself. I'm gonna reiterate, it's very confusing. They didn't do a great job of clarifying what their vision is for it, but I just want to make you aware. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm gonna end it for today. There was a little more information in the live stream, but I think this episode already has a lot to think about, a lot of information in it. So I'm just gonna stop there. I hope you guys enjoyed it, found it useful. Now before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to Revolver Ocelot and Kush Patel who subscribed at my Dragon tier of YouTube membership, as well as a massive thank you to Nathan Ashworth, Double Talk, Heathen Lock Games, and Base Titch. Thank you for making the dream possible. I appreciate you guys a lot. If you're looking for another way to support the channel, an awesome way to do so is just to become a YouTube member. By doing so, you will receive a custom Discord role, access to my video release schedule, as well as being mentioned in my videos. Thank you so much guys, and I'll see you next time.